What is up, basketball fans, and welcome back to Zero Gravity, Apollo Media's NBA podcast, brought to you by a bunch of people. Big City Wings, Houston's Wing Joint, Apollo's Wing Joint. Go check them out today in the Houston area. They're awesome people over at Big City Wings. We love them. Shout out to PrizePicks, our daily fantasy app of choice. Use code Apollo when you sign up and get up to $100 matched with PrizePicks. So go download that and use code Apollo when you sign up. And shout out to J Bar M. J Bar M Barbecue is our newest sponsor at Apollo Media and on the NBA shows that we have, Summit, State of Mind, and Zero Gravity. So J Bar M Barbecue, check them out before Rockets games, just a few blocks from Toyota Center. Cheap drinks, great food over at J Bar M Barbecue. I am joined always by Josh Garcia. How we doing, bud?
Salute, brother. I am incredible. Fresh fade.
Yeah.
South Dallas shag on my ass. Wish you guys could see it. Peep the swag, though.
Not a big deal.
We're getting there. We're not looking bummy anymore. The NBA not being here yesterday made me feel a little bummy, but we made it through. I didn't watch any Korean ping pong. Didn't watch any.
Okay.
Didn't do any degenerate shit.
That's good.
Just enjoyed my night by myself. I'm gonna finish Goodfellas tonight after these NBA games and keep it pushing, man. No more work for 2 weeks. I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. I'm just gonna sit, watch basketball for Christmas. That's my gift, not only to myself, but the NBA to America. How you feeling, bro?
I'm good. Yeah, we're heading into Christmas break for a lot of people. I mean, people are going to have off work. Everybody's going to be at home with families and watching sports or hanging out and do whatever. So Christmas break, it's always a good time. I'm leaving town tomorrow. I'm going to sunny Miami tomorrow. I'm going to get some sun, play some golf. Can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be great. But we're recording this Thursday, December 19th. Well, it's a little bit later. All the games are on right now. Mavericks are playing without Luka and Kyrie Irving, so I've also decided that I am out tonight for the Dallas Mavericks game with an illness. I miss my star players. But NBA is really back in full swing now. The NBA Cup is over. We watched the NBA Cup finals on Tuesday night. It was a stinker of a game. Stinker.
That's it. It was a great first half. I mean, well, sloppy, but close, and that's what matters. Kind of fell off a cliff there in the second half, and we talked about pre-show. These games mattering in playoff type scenarios. Of course, officiating is going to change a little bit. Shea only getting 4 free throws, mixed with not a great offensive game, mixed with Darvin Ham being 14-0 in the NBA Finals. Or excuse me, well, Freudian slip there. NBA Cup playoffs and play-in games, group stage. It's so great that we're able to see this atmosphere. And like I said, over the past 3-4 weeks, we're having nice little moments here. Of course, it wasn't a bang at the end, per Mike Breen, but halfway playoff atmosphere. Christmas Day coming up next week. I mean, what else? What's there not to love? I mean, sure, people can talk shit about the NBA like they've been doing for the past month. It's a little strange. We'll get to that in a bit, but I'm okay with the Bucks winning. It's great that they're figuring it out, kind of. Of course, we still have our disdain for a lot of the Eastern Conference teams. Giannis, of course, if you want to put him in the linebacker category offensively, maybe like a running back. He's like a Derrick Henry of the NBA. Maybe shitty comparison. I don't care. It was a fine game for what it's worth. It was a fine playoff for what it's worth, and can't wait for next year, man. I don't know. Whatever, still trying to figure out how to feel about this whole thing.
Yeah, so Milwaukee won 97-81 against Oklahoma City. It was just a gross game. I mean, Giannis did have an incredible game, 26, 19, and 10, triple-double. Job's finished, job's done. Oh, I can't remember what he said in the locker room or heading towards the locker room in the tunnel with the medal around his neck. Like, it means something to him. NBA legend, Damian Lillard, not running from the grind over to Milwaukee now, has finally won a championship. He won his NBA Cup. Just disgusting. NBA Centel saved the Milwaukee Bucks season. It's they've won the NBA Cup. They were like almost undefeated since that tweet. And yeah, I mean, Milwaukee, they played really well. Dame had 23 points to go along with Giannis's 26. No one else really did anything. Brook Lopez and Giannis were playing incredible defense. The Twin Towers, if you will, over in Milwaukee. And then they were looking more like 2021 during that NBA Cup game on defensive end. Like, it's just Oklahoma City couldn't get anything going. And for once, we finally got a real playoff type referee battle going on where there just weren't calls that are normally called in the NBA regular season. It was an NBA Cup game, so it's technically different. It's kind of the same. It's a regular season game, but it's has a trophy at the end of it, and it's in Las Vegas, and it's not at a home court. So it was a little bit different. It was more of a playoff type atmosphere, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. We noted during the Houston Rockets Oklahoma City Thunder semifinal game that Shea had more free throws attempted than the entire Houston Rockets starting lineup. Well, welcome back to reality, bud, because he shot what? He had he had 9 3-point attempts and 4 free throw attempts. Wow. I'm just so glad that we
Back
were
to
able to
reality.
see this in person. Like, I haven't seen this in ages. Like, didn't happen last playoffs. Like, we didn't get a playoff whistle last playoffs with Oklahoma City. They got the regular season whistle, and Shea was doing whatever he wanted. He was scoring at will from the mid range. It was incredible during the playoffs last season, but he was also getting a whistle whenever he pretty much wanted. Him not getting a whistle makes it harder for him to score at will. I mean, he had 21 points. It's not a horrible game, but it's a horrible game in hindsight because he was minus 17 on his plus minus and only had 4 free throw attempts and was 2 of 9 from 3. So 22.2% from 3. Not ideal, not what you can do in an elimination game, call it that way. And especially when you get outscored by 16 points and he was minus 17. So, love to see the Oklahoma City Thunder just not win something. I'm glad that we didn't have to have the full team press conference on the court post game. I'm glad we didn't have to have that experience. That I'm here to hate the Oklahoma City Thunder, but Milwaukee earned it. Whatever, it's the NBA Cup. Darvin Ham, he's the GOAT. People are saying.
He's the goat of this shit. I mean, 14-0. Numbers don't lie. Check the numbers. Check the board. Darvin Ham, checkmate. He'll be getting a head coaching job somewhere near you. Hopefully not too close to you, but it's good. It's good that this atmosphere and the halfway allure that's building up behind all of this. I mean, obviously, you can't compare it to anything like we've talked about, but it's something. And Oklahoma City not getting these calls consistently and not being the Cinderella story team anymore because we're kind of past last year and the year before. Of course, their rebuild is amazing and they're doing great things over there. As much as I want to hate them and as much as I at times do definitely hate them, it's going to take a long time for me to really build that hatred. I'm still kind of
Yeah, you need a
in
playoff
the early.
series.
I'm in the honeymoon stage of my hatred. It's like when I used to watch San Antonio in like 2005, 2006. I was like, I don't like this team because they beat the Rockets a lot, but why don't I like them? And of course, 2007, 2008 came along, and hatred kept building and building and building. And at one point in my life, I don't even think I hated Tim Duncan. A lot of people hated Tim
Yeah,
Duncan when he
100%.
played,
I did.
but now he's a lovable, beautiful human being, and surely I won't feel that way about Lou Dort when I'm 40. Hopefully not,
No,
or
he'll
Shea,
be
for
forgotten.
example.
Lou
But
Dort will be forgotten in my brain by the time I'm 40. I've only got 12
I
years till then,
really.
but he's gone out of my brain as soon as he's gone.
Oh my god! I hope that's the case because that's a best case scenario for me, and I hope that realignment comes soon. Memphis going to the East and OKC coming into our division. That would be amazing, not only for the sport, not only for the region, but for everything involved in basketball. And like we've said, the ratings have been a little down and dipped recently. I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to figure it out. But OKC being good, I feel like that should halfway Cinderella stories, like I was saying last year, that should really set it off for the league. And not a lot of people know who to root for right now. I think that's a big issue. And I didn't. I definitely didn't know who to root for when it came to this NBA Cup game. It was weird. I don't like Giannis mostly.
Yep.
Of course, I voted for him for the All Star game out of merit. Of course,
Yeah,
I'm a fair
sure.
guy.
Whatever.
But it's interesting. I there's so many emotions, new feelings, new emotions, new thoughts with this NBA Cup. I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to enjoy it. And these Detroit Pistons they're fun as shit, man. That's the one thing I got from this.
Jesus. They always sneak in somehow.
Every time.
But yeah, the NBA Cup was better this year. We can all agree on that. I think everyone kind of understood what was going on with the point differential in the group stage. Moving on to the knockout rounds, which the knockout rounds were pretty good last year as well, but it was mainly because it was a knockout round. I think this year everybody had a better idea of what was going on and kind of what they had to do, and if it actually meant something to a team. Like the Mavericks last season, once they lost like 2 games in the NBA Cup, they were like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like you're going to add games to our schedule. We're good. That's fine. This year they had a little more gusto and they wanted to keep winning, and they didn't. They came up short, obviously. But I will say, back on the free throw talk, Oklahoma City had 22 free throw attempts and Milwaukee had 18. So they still had the free throw advantage, even though there wasn't like 15 on one player. So it was still a fairly called game for the most part, and more of a playoff type called game from the referees. So that was good to see. I'm glad that we were able to get that in the regular season. We don't get that very often nowadays. In the last several years, I'd call it, like in the regular season, there's just going to be a lot of whistles for no reason, and the game's going to last 2.5 to 3 hours instead of 2 hours or an hour 45 like they should. Yeah, overall, NBA Cup, it's progressing. It's getting better, and that's all we can really ask for. Coming into last season where we were like, why? Why are we doing this? What is the purpose of this? I don't understand. But I've also come to the conclusion that we just need to move the NBA season to Christmas Day. Like, opening day is Christmas Day. You start off with the NBA Cup. Everyone plays group stage for a few
Mm.
weeks. Then you go into the semifinals and the finals heading into the end of January, call it, and then the first week of February before the Super Bowl, the week before the Super Bowl, you do an NBA Cup during the middle of the week. You avoid the Saturdays and Sundays to avoid college football playoffs now that are going to be extended, and NFL playoffs because everyone's going to be paying attention to that. But if you start it on Christmas Day, then you can just take that momentum from the NBA Cup game, and then right after the Super Bowl, it's regular season. You're the only sport that's in town right now other than hockey, and a lot of people that watch basketball don't watch hockey. So I think that just solves everyone's problems. But I'm not in charge of the NBA. It's Adam Silver's job to fix that, but it's not going to be fixed. But imagine just like, I know June is a sacred month for the NBA, and having the NBA finals in June is a beautiful thing. It's okay if it would be late July, early August. Like, we don't have anything going on but baseball and the dead months of baseball. It's like no one really cares yet till September, October for casual baseball fans. I mean, the sickos are out there and they're watching every game, like Dez and Josh and all the other guys at Apollo. But I think that solves a lot of issues, and you get your limelight, like you get prime games in January or December, end of December through January into February with the NBA Cup, and then all of a sudden you just have the regular season heading into the beginning of baseball regular season, and your playoffs are during the dead months of baseball, where it's just
That
dog
that's
days of summer.
huge. That's
That'd be
huge.
huge.
You might as well just be Adam Silver now. You could be the next David Stern. I I haven't necessarily gone and really processed all of this in my brain as to what the NBA can fully do, but that's a damn near a good start. That is a good start. I mean, starting in on Christmas Day, again, you can go with the momentum. And I don't even say if you want to shorten the season, because you can really keep it at 82
Yeah,
games if you just if you play a game every other day. Like, you can be in and out in, what, do the math, 164 days, right? Did I do the
right.
math
If
right?
you played every
Something
other
like that.
day, yeah, and just a handful of back to backs, you get an extra day off there. And
Yeah.
I mean, hockey does it really well. I've noticed they start earlier in October than the NBA season does, and they end later in the playoffs in later June as opposed to early June for the Stanley Cup Finals. And it doesn't feel like it's too spread out. Like, the Stars are going to play 15 games in 30 days in January, like
That's
with
perfect.
three back to
Like
backs,
like
which sucks scheduling wise for
shit.
my team. Like, it's not great, but like there's games all the time, and then in February, they've got the Four Nations. So they take 2 weeks off in February. But it's the Four Nations
Right.
tournament. It's basically Olympics with four teams for hockey. Like, you get all of that instead of the All Star game. You create like buzz that way. You could do the same thing with the NBA All Star game, I think. You create the Six Nations or the Eight Nations or whatever and create a little tournament. You take a week and a half, 2 weeks off. You give guys a real break. And then you also give excitement for the players and the teams. Like, and the fans, like, they get more invested if it was Team USA versus, call it, Serbia or Greece or Slovenia. Like, you just throw all those guys in there. Like, you get Luka a team, you get Jokic a team, Giannis a team, and Canada has a team. Like, you've got a lot of really good teams out there. Spain's always good and tough, and Australia. Like, you could do 8 different countries and have Team USA, and they have to find a roster, and it goes through Team USA basketball, and you do all that. I think hockey's doing it really well this season, and the NBA for some reason is not, and that is a reason for the ratings dip. I guess is like the games aren't easy to watch. Like, it's hard to go find a way to watch a game unless you have NBA League Pass or you have cable or you have a certain package or whatever it is. Like, I had to buy Mavs TV this year, which is more expensive than what it was last season for Bally Sports. It's like $20 or $30 more per year than it was just to get Bally Sports, where I was able to watch the Stars and the Mavericks. The Stars, they put out Victory Plus. I get to watch every game for free, no matter what. You just signed up. Every game is free. I can watch them and the Anaheim Ducks for free on Victory Plus. That's awesome. That's a
Why the Ducks?
Victory Plus just picked up Anaheim, I guess, and they were both kind of on the same Bally Sports group, I guess, and they just partnered up, and it's for free. And they've tripled viewership for the Dallas Stars this season, and they've quadrupled viewership for the Anaheim Ducks this season. The Ducks are no good, and they've quadrupled their viewership.
Wow, who would have thought, right?
Who would have thought?
You actually
just give
yeah.
people the opportunity to watch the games. You're going to grow your viewership, grow your fandom of your team, which will in turn make you more money because they're selling ad space. There's still commercials and everything. It's not like Bally Sports where the app didn't work and they were selling ad space and you had to pay for it. It was ridiculous. And Victory Plus is awesome. Mavs TV has been really good. It's through NBA League Pass. It's the same thing. It's the same Mavericks guys calling the games like Follow Will and all of them. But it's still good to have that package where I'm in Dallas and I'm not blacked out. But it's hard to watch a game if you're in a city. Like in Houston, you have to have Space City Home Network or whatever it's called. Yep. And I don't know how much that is per month. You have to have that. If you're in another city, you got to have a different, like FanDuel Sports Network took over for Bally. And that's ridiculous as well. Having a betting company own a broadcasting system for your team. So it's hard to watch. And then the referees just, I thought we got better last season, the last 2-3 months of the season heading into the playoffs. Like it started to get better. They're worse than they were last season before then. Like it's just hard to watch a game whether you have the subscription or not. Like it's the games are
that's all
tough
it
to
boils
watch.
Down to. Yep. That's all it boils down to. Because when you need 10 different things, like and this goes for anything past the years of cable, like even 10 years ago or less. You know, I'm so fortunate. My amazing, beautiful mother and I share a cable package. It is it's so nice. I get to just watch Space City Home Network whenever I need to, and sometimes at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. whenever I wake up or come home from somewhere, there's fishing on, and I get to watch that. Because whatever FanDuel I've noticed too, I can't watch it on my cable package even though it's on channel 37 on Xfinity and it's Dallas, Texas based, or it should be, because I could do that with FSN. I could watch Mavs and Rockets games for a number of years, probably like 15 years. They throw on random bullshit too. It's like I'm watching Korean ping. I could watch Korean ping pong at 3 a.m, which is kind of sicko shit. But then you're like, oh, they're a betting company. Same thing with ESPN Bet being launched. It's like this is supposed to be this worldwide leader in sports, and we're watching them descend into betting madness. And it's like, sure, sports betting is fun. I've dabbled in it plenty of times legally, of course, and sure, let the boys have it. But this is starting to fuck with everyone's heads because the lack of access when it comes to the NBA and other leagues in general, like you're losing a lot of fans strictly based on that because you're like, oh, it's not like it's either Paramount Plus or I can watch any game I want to on CBS or Fox when it comes to NFL, or at least whatever games in my region. If it's the America's Game of the Week and Ravens and Niners or Ravens and Chiefs are playing, I'm like, oh shit, I can watch this, and I guarantee you 20, 30 other million people are probably watching this with me. With basketball, it's like you're lucky you're getting 2-3 million views on an ESPN game on Wednesday, and sure, it's a Wednesday, but it's like two good teams are playing. There's huge star players, huge star power, and maybe it all goes back to players being busts. So we talked about Zion over the years, over the months, not panning out fully or being healthy. Guys who are supposed to be touted like the next LeBron or the next Jordan, like don't end up panning out the way you want them to be. And that's not really anyone's fault. Maybe a couple training staffs, sure, but it's not the league's fault.
So you mentioned players and not panning out and everything. Do you think it's like a mix of people just not being NBA fans anymore? They're just their teams fans. They're getting more towards the baseball side of things, where baseball fans, they watch their team 162 games and they don't have time to watch other games essentially, unless it's Sunday Night Baseball when there's no other games on. Like that's the only game of the week that they're watching, maybe regularly, that is not their own favorite team essentially. And when we were growing up, or when I was growing up, everyone had their guy. So there's LeBron, there's Kobe, D Wade, Carmelo Anthony, Dirk Nowitzki, Tim Duncan. Like the AI was in there. Like everybody just kind of had their guy, and their guy was usually on national television at least once a week, and
Yep.
you were able to just like have these fights and you're like, this is my guy, even though you're not a fan of that team. You could be the LeBron guy, you could be the Kobe guy, you could fight that way and everything. Like, I think there was more NBA fans when I was growing up, just NBA league fans as opposed to team fans. And now I think it's really getting towards baseball where everyone's just following their team. And if they just happen to throw TNT on or ESPN on Wednesdays and they're just like, yeah, I'll throw the game on, but I'm not going to intently watch it. And like Giannis is on TV. Don't really care. I'll just
I
throw it on though.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna say.
I know
I'm
me and
thinking
you
of
are
the Twitter.
different, and we know several other
Right.
people that are different, but I think that's kind of where the
The
general fan is
average.
going now.
Yep. Yep. I'm not gonna sit here and I'm thinking of the Twitter picture where it's like that one friend that's too woke. I don't want to sound like too crazy here, but a lot of the collective and I'm gonna use my words carefully. A lot of the collective individualism over the past 10 or so years, maybe 20, really since 9/11, if you want to pinpoint it, which thank God we're past 10 minutes. I can say whatever I want now
Yes.
according to YouTube. It's weird because not only do people not have as much time to consume basketball, not as much time to, I don't know, grill on the weekends. People are sitting here trying to survive, make money, do what they can. I'm very fortunate that I come home from my job and I'll see friends a couple times a week and be able to do what I can in the meantime to watch basketball, watch movies, whatever I do. Like, a lot of people don't have that privilege, and a lot of people can't just sit down for even 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week and watch basketball. I'm fortunate I get 15 hours a week out of League Pass or whatever I do. So it's, again, not trying to sound like that friend, that guy, but it's really tough because you're not. It's so weird. There's so many things you can pinpoint, so many things that you can say that it's this fault, it's that fault. But the NBA as a whole it's struggling because people don't have as much time anymore. And that's kind of a lot of what it boils down to. And a lot of people don't want to necessarily say that because there's so many different ways you can go about it, socially, mentally, whatever. Um, it's tough. You can blame it on the TV. You can blame it on the guys. You can blame it on the inside the NBA guys being casuals, like we talked about last week. But a lot of it boils down to just people just not having time to care. On Sundays, Sunday is NFL day. Even later in the year, it turns into Saturdays. Then the NFL days turn into Monday, Thursday. Like, there's no real slots that NBA can fit into other than Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I'm not going to sit here and watch both national TV games on those days because I don't have the time. It's during the week. Like, I got shit to do. And there's so many people who I'd imagine would agree with me, and so many people who are just living that daily like survival instinct. And I feel like it was kind of different, 15, 20 years ago. Right now, it's just everything is just, you got to survive, and
Yeah.
nobody has time to just view their guys, view their team as much as they used to. That's my point.
Yeah. So viewership was at its peak in 2011, coincidentally, when the Miami Heat formed their big three. It was the second time really that a team had formed a big three. That I like how Boston's like, oh, they formed a big three. They were the first big three. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen. Huge deal. Everyone knew it at the time. Like, that was a super team. Essentially, it was the first big three to have, but they had Rajon Rondo, they had Kendrick Perkins. Like, they had a bunch of other dudes on the team that helped out. James Posey was just making threes for no reason. Like, all the things happened coincidentally for the Celtics, but KG was a beloved figure, so him going and getting a ring was a big deal for NBA fans, I think, that liked KG. And then in 2011, obviously, you have the Heatles. You get the big three going with Bosh, Wade, and Braun, and it's not one, not two, not three. They had the whole circus that whole summer. So NBA fandom, I think, hit a peak. It's like this was the first time that we saw three like uber superstars that were from our generation. 2003 draft, there, 2003 draft. Everybody joins. It's a big deal, and all of a sudden Dirk comes in and slays the big dragon on a probably the greatest playoff run of all time. People don't like to talk about it other than Brendan Haywood, although he mentioned it the other day on All the Smoke podcast. He was talking about it, but I think it's down 43 or 48% in viewership since then, since 2011.
Wow.
Which it was really hard to watch games back then. Like NBA League Pass, like you had to buy it through DirecTV. Like you had to watch
Oh
it
my
with
God.
cable. There was no streaming services back then. And viewership was at an all-time high because everyone had cable. And now you have all these different platforms. Like, I don't have to have NBA League Pass to watch the Mavericks. I just have to have Mavs TV. But if you wanted to watch everything else, you got to have that. And you got to have a cable subscription, essentially YouTube TV or wherever you get your cable services from. That's what I do in order to watch the TNT and the ESPN games. And what's going to end up being ABC and NBC here next season's like an Amazon Prime. Then you got to add that in there. It's like it's significantly harder to
God.
watch basketball games or any game really in any sport. It's harder to watch those games. So I understand why viewership is down in that sense, but it's over 40% since 2011, and that's absurd. And I understand 2011 was a big deal. It was a different year. It was a different vibe because then you have that, and then all of a sudden LeBron goes back to the Cavs. He's got Kyrie and Kevin Love, and then all of a sudden the Warriors get KD, and it's just like it became normal. And I guess fans just became numb to the fact of super teams, and they realized, oh, if a super team gets together, then all of a sudden they're just going to win the title, and that's kind of what happened for several years. It's just like a big three won a title, and you do have to have two superstars, but now you can only have two with the luxury tax, and it's all just like it's getting more regional based, which I like that. I like that fans are going to be able to root for their team harder and everything, but the league itself is suffering from becoming more regional. It's the luxury tax is all in there. It's very strange dynamic of why people aren't watching basketball games. It's a number of things. It's not just you can't pinpoint it to one answer.
No. We could sit here for probably 2-3 hours, and I can be like, oh, people don't have as many things to hate anymore. The players don't have as many things to hate anymore. You don't have Rip Hamiltons, Tayshaun Princes. You don't have Gary Paytons. You don't have people who are just pests out there. That's why I'm so in love with this. Goes back to Amen Thompson, like we were talking about last episode, Dyson Daniels as well. Like you have guys that you can root for who play differently than other people, and to the untrained eye or to someone who watches the NBA once or twice a month, you see them on national TV. I mean, not necessarily the Atlanta Hawks or the Rockets per se, but you see guys that you just never heard of on national TV. You might be able to fall back in love with the sport, but it's just so hard. Like you said, it's accessibility. It's time management, and not time management on the consumer's part. It's just time is an issue. Accessibility is an issue. You need 10 different things to watch basketball. You need maybe only 2 or 3 different things to watch football, which is pretty cool. But also, there's so many less games of football per year. I think it's like 300 games of football a year compared to the NBA being, I don't know, a couple thousand. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like 2,500. Like there's a lot of shit going on. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate, and there will never be a real answer to this until, I don't know, someone comes in to save the league, or teams get, more and more competitive, which they already are to, again, our eyes, but to the untrained average eye who watches basketball. And I hate to sound like even halfway pretentious about this, or gatekeepy, if you will, but like you got to watch hoop to love hoop. And if people don't have a reason to get fully drawn in, they're not going to watch. In again, having guys like Patrick Mahomes or even Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson in the NFL, guys who you can either easily love or easily hate, depending on how you look at it. Like there are figures, there's storylines. The NBA's storylines over the past couple of years to us are cool, but again, you need to get like average eyes on it. I don't mean to turn into, a Big Brother or a Bravo TV show, Real Housewives of Salt Lake.
Great show.
But there needs to be something to give. Something's got to give, and it sucks. Zion, not being in the league consistently, not being healthy consistently. That's done numbers to not only Pelicans fans' mental health, but NBA fans' mental health. I want to see the dude play like he did at Duke, but that's not sustainable. Same thing with John Morant. He might not dunk in a game like
He
ever
just
again.
says he doesn't dunk now. It's incredible.
It's insane, and you need those highlight moments. You need those highlight plays, and again, like time management or time, survival situations. Like there's too much going on. Your social media feeds are clogged. You're dealing with so many different things at once. You're not going to sit there and be like, oh, John Morant just did this really cool thing. Let me look into who's on his team. You're like, oh, that's John Morant. He did a cool thing. Next, you know what I mean? There's nothing sticks. You're kind of throwing you're throwing darts at a wall or at a dartboard, and they're just falling off. You know what I mean? They have their little moment of impact, then on to the next thing.
Yeah, social media has ruined so many things. It's the best, and it's also the absolute worst for attention spans and actually viewing games now, because people will just go watch TikToks and be like, hey, I watched the game last night, and they watch like 10 TikToks, which is a total of maybe 120 seconds of highlights, and then there's a replay in that 10 seconds as well. So they didn't really watch any of the game, and then they'll go look at the box score and they're like, oh, this guy didn't really play that well. And it's just people don't care enough anymore to actually have an attention span for that 2 hours to watch a game and get through commercials. And Yeah, it's tough, but I think the NBA is fine just because they're the number 2 league in the country. Like baseball's not going to catch up, hockey's not going to catch up. Like they're set at number 2. It was whether they could get to number 1 or not. And NFL's just gotten, I mean, since COVID, really it's just been booming. Roger Goodell's not even really hated anymore. He's kind of been doing a lot of good things for the NFL, minus the international games. Like we can do away with those. Um, but other than that, like Roger Goodell's just like not in the limelight anymore. He's not really doing anything bad for the NFL. He's only making it better. I can't say the same about Adam Silver. He's not our dearly beloved late David Stern. I miss my David Stern. That's my commissioner.
God, revisionist history, dude. Like everyone, I feel like everyone hated David
I
Stern
loved him the
growing up.
whole time. The whole
You're an
time.
asshole, no
Yeah,
wonder.
well, yeah. I guess he's minus the whole AI. You got to wear suits in the pregame, like heading into the
Right.
locker room and everything. I didn't care for that. That was touchy and not ideal. But let the guy show his character. And now they're back to that, which is fine. But I think Stern did a lot of things to grow. I mean, he's the one that orchestrated just like getting NBA on TV, on actual
Yeah.
TV, where you're watching it on CBS or NBC or wherever they were doing in the 80s. Like it was on tape delay. The NBA finals were on tape delay for several
Oh my
decades.
god.
And he
Yeah,
comes in,
until like the late 70s.
right. And then he comes in and he's just like, no, we have to have this live. Well, I don't know what we're doing. So he does that. And then you get the Bird and Magic era and into the Jordan era. It's just like he lucked out with the amount of players that were superstars and gravitating toward the national media. Like my mom doesn't care for sports. Like she'll go to the Dolphins game. She has a good time. She'll root for them. She kind of understands the game and everything. Basketball, not a clue what's going on. She said she used to watch those Celtics Lakers finals games in her friend's house. Like her whole family's watching, and my mom goes over to watch Lakers Celtics finals games. Like people don't just go watch finals games together anymore
Nope.
because there's
Nope.
not a
The
guy.
cultural.
There's just not like
Mhm.
there's no Jokic guys. I don't know Jokic guys other than Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo. Like I don't know Luca guys outside of Dallas. Like people just don't have a guy anymore to root for, and there's no rivalries anymore because they just changes every year. Like the Mavericks are playing Minnesota on Christmas Day, and it should be Oklahoma City because those teams don't like each other. Minnesota doesn't like Dallas. Dallas doesn't care. Dallas hates Rudy Gobert, not Minnesota. Like that rivalry was fun for the 5 games that we had it, but the Oklahoma City Thunder series against the Mavericks was way better. That should be the Christmas Day. Like we had Phoenix versus Dallas for a few Christmases in a row because of the playoff series in 2022. Like that made sense. There was a little bit of a rivalry there. The teams did not like each other. That made sense. Celtics Lakers should just always play on Christmas Day. Just make it Celtics Lakers every year, just because of the aesthetic
Please.
and superstar power, like all that kind of stuff. But no rivalries, social media, impossible to watch. The referees stink, and the guys don't really care anymore. The players themselves, they just don't care as much anymore, and that's okay because they can get the bag and they're there to play. And there's a handful of guys in the league that are going to try to win every single game and every single playoff series and want to win finals all the time. And then there's other guys that are just like, "Yo, I made it to the league. I'm gonna go get my first round pick, like giant contract after my first one, and be like, all right, I'm set." DeAndre Ayton, like he got his bag and he's like, I'm good, I'm fine. I don't have
Yeah.
to be stellar anymore, and that's okay. That's okay. Just go to your job and collect a paycheck. I'm fine with that. But there's not enough guys that just care enough and hate enough.
Yep. That's a lot of what it boils down to. The anger and the hatred. And it sucks that like you need negative storylines or negative feelings to make something, empowering for a basketball league or for a sports league. But that's kind of all of what modern history is about crazy storylines, negativity, anger, upsetness, and we don't get much of that anymore. We've talked about it with NBA rivalry week. I think it was like what, Hawks Mavs, strictly
Hawks
because
Mavs twice
Luka.
because they traded Trey
Yeah,
Young for Luca.
disgusting, disgusting. Then there is no rivalry there, and
No.
there probably never will be. I don't know. It feels like they're out of touch, and the players aren't necessarily helping. But I don't want to blame the players because like the game's changing. They're going to go out and play however they want, and a lot of the times it is a great product. The only problem is there's not enough eyes on said great product. So we can complain, and other casuals or other people. I hate saying the word casual, but other people can complain. The average person can complain, like, oh, there's no reason to watch the NBA anymore. Like, I don't know, give it a shot, but also don't. If you don't have a reason to, don't. You know what I mean? Like the NBA will still survive. The NBA will be fine. It still has I'd argue a more important global reach than a US reach right now. Because
Yes.
they're like you said with your guys, like people having guys, like entire countries have guys. Of course, we know it all too well. Alperen Şengün, those Turkish dudes in our comments, they love us and they hate us, and we love it because seeing passion and empathy even for guys who are playing from your country, like that's huge for a lot of not I don't want to call Turkey a small country, but in regards to the basketball realm, there's not a lot of guys from Turkey, and I think it's important to know that even Slovenia, Luka Doncic, like everyone just has their guy, you know what I mean? And of course in football that's iffy, a lot of the guys are from the US, and of course there's the occasional Australian punter, or I don't know, South African special teams guy. But with this country, with this league, or excuse me, with this league, strictly, you have guys from everywhere, and that global reach is so important to, like, obviously the fiscal side of the NBA, which I don't really care to talk about because they're a
They're
multi-billion
gonna make
dollar
money no matter
business.
what.
I
Yeah.
don't I don't care. Like, of course, at the end of the day, that is what that is. But I don't know. I don't know. I hate to be a wait and see guy, but it's like it doesn't necessarily affect me. I don't really think about ratings going down strictly based on what I'm watching. I don't really care. But if enough people are talking about it, I'm like, oh, I guess we got to say some shit now. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's a weird feeling because I don't care enough, but I should, but I shouldn't. You know?
Yeah. I mean, we just like basketball. We're gonna continue to watch basketball no matter what the ratings are, just because we love the sport and we love the players and we love our teams. We're gonna continue in, night out. We're gonna turn on League Pass and we're gonna keep watching. And there's a lot of people that just decided not to do that anymore because of the product and because of how hard it is to watch games and referees and so on and so forth. And now it's a 3 point game as opposed to defense grind it out. Like if you go watch one of those 2011 finals games and then go watch a finals game from last year, it's just light years different. It's so much better
Yep.
now. the
Yep.
the quality of basketball is so much better. There is so much more talent in the league. And I mean, if you just watch that Sunday night game, Mavericks and Golden State, where they combined for the most threes made in a game, it was like 49 or something like that. Just insane amount of threes made by both teams. Um, the quality was incredible. It was a tight game, and people were like, "Oh, this is what everybody's talking about. Like, why are they not talking about this?" And I understand that the Wizards are doing the exact same thing, but they're missing 30 out of their 37 attempted threes. Like, that's not great, but I get that part. But don't watch the Wizards. It's okay to not watch the Wizards right now. No one wants to watch whatever 2-10 football teams out there right now, like the Panthers. No one really wants to watch them. No one really wants to watch the Patriots. Like, there's
Yep.
several teams in the NFL that people don't care to watch. They'll put it on red zone and they'll just watch. If we had a red zone for basketball, I don't know how it would work. There's too many games every night, and it's every night too is the other issue. But some form of red zone for NBA would be, I think,
Yep.
beneficial
Yep.
for the casual viewer to
Definitely.
just turn on full court press, whatever you call it. And
Well, the NBA Crunch Time
yeah,
is something that they do either on NBA TV or sometimes League
yeah,
Pass, and mainly. And sure, it doesn't give you that feel because also it is every night, and that's the thing why the NFL is so poppin', and it will probably forever be poppin'
once a week.
because I feel like in my brain the product is going down,
Yes.
like really consistently since like 2016 2017. It's been going down. I don't enjoy football games as much anymore. I used to be a diehard Texan guy, and I hate saying this now, and I probably shouldn't say this on here, but like I don't really feel that much when I watch the Texans anymore. Like I don't, and it's no one's fault. It's just like when I watch these games, there's not as much like action, and maybe that's like the childlike senses going out of my brain and me becoming an adult. Sure, like that's important, of course. That's every part of life, but I don't feel as much. But then the ratings keep going up and up and up, and of course you can put that on fantasy football, you can put that on gambling, whatever you want to put it on. But if that was the same for the NBA, the NBA's ratings would be up. Like, everyone's gonna gamble on something. Everyone's gonna put money in towards something. Like that's the biggest thing about the sports economy too. It's everything is based on consistent gambling, consistent. It almost reminds me of when I was a kid, like ethos, pathos, logos. You know what I mean? Like whenever there's something you want to throw on, whenever there's something you want to blame on, it's going to be one of those three things. And when it comes to gambling and emotions, like it's a huge thing for the economy. It's a huge thing for these leagues, but of course, rarity is a big thing too, like we just mentioned. And Basketball will just never have that. There's too many games, and even if they shorten the season, people, big fans like me, I'll be like, well, now I'm getting a lesser product because there's lesser games. It's a glass half full, glass half empty situation, because you can view it as, oh, these games mean a lot more and there's less of them. Great, but also kind of like my 82 game seasons. I don't really want to see that change. I don't want to see less basketball, but in order for the average fan to get back into basketball, maybe that's what they have to do. But that, it's like how Manfred changes the rules for baseball, or attempts to change the rules for baseball sometimes, like the ghost runner rule and stuff like that. Purists, and I don't ever want to call myself a purist in anything, but I guess if you wanted to compare like being a basketball purist, I don't want to see like a sudden death or a golden goal or first to 10 in overtime or something like that. It just seems silly. So I don't know. I don't know what Adam Silver is going to do. I clearly other leagues have mostly have this figured out, and maybe one day the NBA will too. I don't know if it's going to take another LeBron type guy to figure it all out, but maybe that's what it's going to have to be. Like I said, we can pinpoint. We've already been talking for 30 minutes about this thing, and I'm still like, what the fuck else? Like, there's so many different things going on in my brain right now, and maybe the NBA will figure it out. Maybe they won't. But damn it, I'll still be watching. You'll still be watching. A lot of you viewers will still be watching, and that's kind of what matters more, to me at least.
Yeah, I think we fixed the NBA. So Adam Silver just hit our line. We'll walk you through everything. We won't do it pro bono. It will cost you a little bit, but nothing like an NBA salary. We'll make it easy on you. Yeah, I think we fixed the NBA. NBA Cup's over. So now we're hitting right at Christmas, where the NBA will actually start to pick up, and people will start to view a little bit more once the NFL and college football playoffs are over. Then it'll just be the NBA and hockey for a little bit until baseball comes back. But none of those sports really overlap with fandom, I don't think. It's very few people that are just like every sport. They're all in. I'm one of those people, unfortunately. It just consumes all of my time and all of my sadness and happiness. So, but Christmas Day is coming up. We'll preview that early next week. I believe Monday or Tuesday I'll release that episode. We'll preview every Christmas Day game. We'll go through them all, storylines, see what's popping. I mean, there's football on that day too. So, I mean, NBA just got cucked. I mean, it's a whole number of things. But we'll be back next week with another Zero Gravity Apollo Media's NBA podcast, brought to you by Big City Wings, Houston's Wing Joint, Apollo's Wing Joint. Go check them out today if you're in the Houston area. Shout out to Prize Picks, our daily fantasy app of choice here at Apollo Media. Use code Apollo when you sign up at Prize Picks and get up to $100 match. So you put in $100, Prize Picks will just give you $100 free. Not a big deal. Use code Apollo when you sign up. And shout out to J Bar M Barbecue. Had some great watch parties and pre-games over there the last couple of weeks. We'll have some more in January and February. We've already locked in those dates. We will get those out to you very soon with flyers on our social medias at Apollo HOU. Hit that subscribe button below. Shout out to J Bar and Barbecue. Shout out to you for watching or listening wherever you get podcasts from. We'll be back very soon with another Zero Gravity, Apollo Media's NBA podcast.